first of all, it is a tax. So you're trying to say that you want to take tax administration away from Congress and give it to a president. We tell everybody, take the 10%.
What does that mean to take the 10%?
All you hear is what he has to say. They don't cover the part that he's backing out of a lot of this.
What's the state of tariffs today?
So I'll tell you the same thing I told BevNet back in January, because I talked to BevNet at the week after I got back. So 2 weeks after he's inaugurated, they asked me what I thought, and I was like, you have to wait and see. One, could he legally apply them? Because whether he wants to admit to it or not, a tariff is a tax, no matter how you slice it. And taxes are part of the House and the Senate's problem, not a president to ad hoc add taxes to everybody just for the hell of it.
Hey, I just wanted to jump in here and give a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's podcast, B Micro, the easiest way to sneak vegetables into any meal. Due to soil depletion, GMOs, and monocropping, Americans are not getting enough nutrients. So in 2018, I founded B Micro, the first freeze-dried microgreens company in the US to help Americans get more concentrated natural nutrients into their diet. Microgreens are a phase in the plant's life when they're 14 days old and naturally the most concentrated in vitamins, minerals, nutrients, all the good things that we need. Our microgreens are grown here in the US in soil and a greenhouse. They're certified USDA organic and regenerative organic. We grow, wash, and freeze dry them to extend their 1 week shelf life to over 1 year, allowing us to ship anywhere in the US without the worry of spoilage. We have 2 flavors, broccoli, backed by over 2,000 studies on sulforaphane and its powerful detox benefits, and a blend of red cabbage, radish, and broccoli, the most potent detox formula we've tested, offering you the most bang for your buck. Easily sneak these microgreens in any meal. Eggs, smoothies, pizza, pasta, even your kids' mac and cheese, you can't even taste it. Use code STEVE15 to save at bmicro.farm.
So what I told him was, you have to wait and see. One, does the world push back? How hard do they push back? Oh, by the way, even if he did get the tariff through, he's still got to make it through international court, because he's going to have to go and argue that the free trade agreements because taxes and tariffs are part of free trade agreements, he's going to have to go and argue that he didn't like the deal that he himself said he negotiated his first go around. That's going to be real hard to make. And if you I watched the opening oral arguments, because Supreme Court took it up November 5th. So I watched opening oral arguments. And even the most conservative justices on the bench were like trying to walk Trump's lawyer through the consequences. They're like, first of all, it is a tax. So you're trying to say that you want to take tax administration away from Congress and give it to a president. And are you sure you're ready for the consequences of that? Because if you get a Democrat in there in the next go round and all of a sudden they view the climate crisis as an actual crisis, can they just arbitrarily add a 50-cent tariff to all the oil and gas that we import? Because now it's a crisis. And you've said, because it's a crisis, that you can give it that the president should be allowed to apply it. So I listened to probably 4 or 5 hours of arguments, and it was not looking good for Trump's case for being able to apply it. So what I've told everybody, what I continue to tell everybody, I did this at Supply Side Global 2 weeks ago. I told everybody, I'm like, take your 10% now, because we're reasonably sure 10% is what he can legally apply on his own and have it stick. Beyond that, this 150, 120, 200, when you look at it, he says it, then he goes and he starts to make carve-outs for different industries, if you look at it. Oh. So you have to watch, because he did it, and then a month later, I got to go carve out agriculture. I got to go carve out food, or I got to go carve out auto parts, right? So then he starts to take a razor blade to what it is that so he makes blanket stupid statements, and then he backtracks himself out of it. But the backtracking part is the part that nobody gets to see. Mm-hmm. Like all you hear is what he has to say. They don't cover the part that, he's backing out of a lot of this, and he's, so he's saying it in one way, but he's double speaking in that he's not sure how to continue to apply it. So we tell everybody, take the 10%. At the end of the day,
what does that mean to take the 10%?
So assume that the 10% tariff sticks. Mm-hmm. Just leave it. Okay. Put it in your raw material calculations. Put it in if you're coming from overseas, put it in your final calculation. Add that 10% that's what you're going to have to eat. But the other concept that I introduced and it's not a concept I introduced, but it's one that I know and I talked about last week at Supply Side Global. As an industry, just food and beverage in general, or how, better for you and all that, I go, there is a concept called stickyflation, which is something that happened after COVID. And we all morally, as a group, need to start to wrestle with this concept, which is, let's say you apply 10% and it ends up being 2. Are you going to give that 8% back to the consumer, or are you going to put it in your pocket?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's that moral conundrum piece of, well, you got it. And it's the same thing that came out of COVID. Well, people paid it. They were willing to pay it. They're willing to still continue to pay it. So do you at some point look at what you've baked into your cost card, and when you get savings, are you passing that savings on? And there's a lot of other things that go into it. Do I have investors? Do I have a fiduciary responsibility on returns and all that? Like, I get it. But at the base level, if you had 10% and it turns out to be 2, and you could give 8% back to your end customer, consumer, whatever, are you going to do it?
Yeah.
And that's part of the moral argument that you have to start to think about and ponder on your own is, do I keep it, or do I return it to the people?